Yes, hello everyone. How are the hangovers? Well, there is no time to be hungover because we're moving forward. We've just beaten Rangers. We've got Real Madrid coming up in a couple of days. And if all of that isn't enough, then the fact I'm wearing this Socceroos jersey means that we have a former Australia international on the channel. And it's a pretty special one for you today with one of Australia's biggest names ever. You don't have to be an Aussie to know who Mile Jedinak is. 79 caps for the Socceroos, captain at the 2014 World Cup and triumph a year later in the Asian Cup. He also played most notably for Crystal Palace in the English Premier League, Aston Villa too, as well as the likes of Sydney United, Central Coast Mariners and Gençlerbirliği in Turkey. He's now at Aston Villa as their lone player development coach. Mila, amazing to have you on the channel. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
You're actually in Scotland at the moment doing a bit of looking at players and all that kind of stuff. Did you manage to catch the game at all yesterday? Because we're all a little bit excited about beating Rangers 4-0.
Yeah, listen, I got to watch some of the game yesterday, albeit not all of it, but yeah, obviously a very, very positive outcome for the Celtic team ahead of the game on Tuesday.
Have you seen much of Celtic over the last year since Ange has come in?
Yeah, obviously, there's a connection there, having worked with Ange and following, and as soon as he did get the job, it was more around let's follow the progress, because that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what I think expected it to be, and to see it sort of transform in the way that it did. Obviously, you know, by securing that league title and the cup. Obviously, it brings me immense pride, but I know it does to every Celtic fan out there.
It may be a daft question, but are you surprised at all about what Ange has done at Celtic?
I don't think I don't think surprise probably. I think I mean, you're experiencing it now. I think having experienced it from a playing perspective myself under Ange for a number of years, I don't probably see it as a big surprise. What I what I like to see is that everyone's sort of taken on board with it, and he's been able to, encapsulate sort of what he's about through his football and his team, and not only his team, but the club itself and the fan base has got right behind him and going along the journey, as they say, and it's been really, really refreshing to see.
He's huge on the journey, isn't he? Everyone we speak to that's played under Ange, how often would he mention the journey?
I think the journey, and it's an important sort of picture to paint because, again, if I can do sort of a contrasting between the two, we had just qualified for a World Cup, and then we had a poor run of results, and our manager ended up getting sacked, and Ange got the role. So again, we were in a little bit of a predicament, to say the least, and I know that it probably was you could say that was the same to a certain degree when Celtic didn't win their, I know, the 10th in a row, and they didn't do that, and it was that sort of, listen, we understand, or we can understand, but we've got other things to worry about. We've got to think about preparing ourselves in what lies ahead, and what that may look like. And I think I know from our time in Oz, it was very quickly to see what was. I don't think what the end game was you were going to see, but you could see the way that the method and the way that we were going to do things. It was just gave you this belief, and this, it didn't matter where you were from or what you were doing at the time. Just, as long as you're committed to this 100%, then let's see where that journey goes. And I'm sure that every Celtic fan will say, initially there was, people would have seen, well, what's going on here? But as it develops, as it's allowed time to develop, and as players sort of understand the way that it's going to work, um, quite quickly you're engrossed in it, and you're full throttle, ready to go.
And there's more to come, hopefully, as well. Listen, we really want to chat to you about the 2014 World Cup because Celtic are going into the Champions League, Real Madrid on Tuesday night. You guys went into a similar kind of thing in 2014, playing up against some of the best teams in the world. Just before that, a couple of the goals yesterday, At least a couple of the goals came directly from taking free kicks quickly, throw-ins early. I guess that's a major part of what Ange tries to achieve with his teams.
Yeah, it's definitely it's. I think that there's no moment to lose. I think you want to impose your game. You want to. Football's about transitions. You want to catch people out. A lot of the time when people are set, it's very hard to break them down. And it's trying to find that little bit of an edge. Listen, whatever they're giving the boys over there at Celtic Park, keep good doing it because they are helping out as much. But it comes from and setting that tone and making the players aware. This is what I want. We don't want to waste any time. We don't want to, whether it be the first minute to the 95th minute, we want to keep going. If there's an opportunity there to play the ball, spot the ball, play the ball quick, and go and get an opportunity, then we're going to try and do that. And it's relentless. It becomes relentless for the opposition. And the fact that, you can see that has happened throughout his time in Celtic is no surprise.
Yeah, we had Ryan McGowan, your former teammate, on a few months ago, and he told us that Ange used to, the message Ange would send out is that if you're feeling tired, God knows how the opposition feel. And I think we saw that yesterday. Interestingly enough, Real Madrid actually conceded from a quick throw-in yesterday against Real Betis. So maybe the narrative has been written for Tuesday there. Let's go on to you and Ange then. You would have worked with Ange a long time ago. First of all, the young Socceroos, early 21st century.
Yep, 2003, I was in his squad for the World Cup in the Emirates. First time we had worked together, first sort of time I was ever got opportunity to play for the young national teams, and it was him that was the manager. So yeah.
So do you think that relationship you had with Ange from an early age played a part in him making you captain, I think 2 games into his time with the Socceroos?
I don't know, because again it was a long time between sort of drinks, as they say. We sort of went on different pathways and different journeys. I think at the time when he was made national team boss, that the timing of it was the right fit, I suppose. I was sort of doing my thing and captaining my club at the time. I'm sure that would have had a part to play in it. And I just had an understanding of what was required and sort of how I sort of did things back at club, sort of where I was playing at the time at Crystal Palace. And then sort of the national team, always you knew sort of what you were going to get, and it was the lads were always there for each other, and we always sort of wanted to get the best out of each other. And obviously I was seen as a integral part in helping, as being one of the members in the team that could help do that. And yeah, he sort of gave me that sort of privilege and bestowed that sort of captaincy on me, and I took it with both arms. But I loved the opportunity of being able to do it, and like I said, it was something that I know those decisions don't get made lightly. But the fact that it sort of I was the one that had to wear the armband on the day, it could have been a number of other players as well.
Yeah, and we know he likes to keep his distance a little bit from players. As captain, are you closer to him?
I think, yeah, fortunately, I think so. Again, it's I think he sort of knew what I was about, and he understood that if I had anything that we needed to discuss, and vice versa, we would just do it. It wasn't with any, like I said, it was always around the best interest of what the group would do. And I'm not talking about, this wasn't all the time, and it wasn't frequent, but you just had this understanding. And I think it was obviously a massive respect on my my behalf towards him, but he understood that from our side, and he understood that from my own side within the group as well. So again, it was, like I said, we just understood the situation. It was more around understanding the situation of what was needed rather than anything else.
Yeah. So 2014, you go into the World Cup. You're given a relatively difficult group with the previous winners, Spain. You've got the previous runners-up, the Netherlands, and Chile, who weren't bad at that stage either. You had a lot of good players, yourself included, but it's fair to say you were the underdogs in that group. You lost all 3 matches, but that doesn't really tell the full story of how that campaign went, does it?
No, it doesn't. Again, it's when you say it and you sort of remind me that we didn't win a game, but I think more so what everyone we came away from that people were talking about how we went about it, how we approached the games. Um, ultimately we were left with nothing, but I think what it did do was show people that and show probably that belief within the group that no, we're on the right path here. We've just got to stick to it. And that that a lot of that was the way that Ange he would speak to the group and the way that he wanted his team to play. And it didn't matter who it was against. I think that was the biggest thing going into that World Cup was this is the first step. The expectation was the expectation at the end of the day. We didn't expect to get much from those games at all, but what we did expect was to put a performance and show something about ourselves, and we definitely did that, which then probably put us in better nick going forward when we did end up winning the Asian Cup 6 months later.
Yeah. So he's going into these World Cup games. You know that he's going to try and keep playing the same way. As a player, what are you thinking?
You just you're thinking that we've got to go and try and match these toe for toe. We've got to go against these guys and try and impose our game. We had a slow start against Chile, which ended up costing us, and we just didn't recover from that. But we then grew into the game and we imposed ourselves on the game and we end up kicking ourselves on the start we had to the tournament. And then the Netherlands game, again, we earned the right to go 2-1 up. And again, it's probably lack of experience or naivety. We end up uh, conceding goal straight after we score or not too long ago, and we aren't able to hold out. And, I remember when we analysed those games back then, it was these were opportunities missed from our perspective, or even when we were written off. So that's why it was always difficult to take because we never got anything out of those games when at another point we probably would have.
And when you're lining up against these players before the game, do you genuinely believe in your mind you can beat Spain, you can beat Netherlands, Chile?
I think without a doubt, I think you have to. I never went into any games, particularly playing for the national team, regardless of what was against in the opposition. You had to go and try and impose yourself on the game as a group, and you needed everybody to do that. When that message was given to you prior to kickoff or in a team meeting beforehand, um, and the Celtic players will know what I'm talking about. eh, you've got no choice. You have to go. You have to go out there. You don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to let any supporter down. You don't want to let any one of your teammates down. You don't want to let your family down. And it's that sort of mentality that was instilled by you. And you know, coming together as a national team, most of the boys or everybody would be feeling that way. Um, I'd imagine it'd be the same thing. The whole Celtic community, the whole Celtic fan base, everybody that supports Celtic are out there playing that game with those lads, and they'll know that, and they'll know that they'll feel that, and they'll want to go and do exactly what's been asked of them, which is keep playing the same way in every single one of their games.
Does that belief then come from Ange? Is he the main guy, or is it the general culture that the playing group has?
The belief's there from Ange from the start. I don't think it's never one it's never not there. I
Mm.
think it's obvious that's going to take a little bit of time to instill into people. That's always the case. Um, it was always going to be something that you're going to see come to fruition and see come out in your team. I think now they're at the point where the belief is there. They're going out and doing it week in, week out. So now, regardless of the challenge, you're going to see what's being asked of them, and they won't back down.
Yeah. What's Ange like before the match? Messaging to the players. I think we all know by now that he's pretty motivational. I mean, what kind of things does he use? Is it you're up against it, people are writing you off type thing?
Um, I think it depends on the situation. I think it depends on what sort of games, and it's always going to be a poignant message. I think would be the main thing. Team meeting, you'd always then find out probably the team of what was going to happen in the game. And then you always had the message of what the boss had wanted to say. After that, you go through what we do sort of tactically a little bit, who was going to be involved, asked to do what, the usual stuff, and then there'd always be a message of whatever that needed to look like. And what a lot of the lads used to be, used to come out of the meeting and be like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm like, just calm down. We've got some time yet. But it was designed to go and do that. You know what I mean? It was designed to go and invoke those emotions and allow you time to sort of settle, and then focus pure and simply on the game. When you in the build up, and then obviously go out and perform when you had to, when you got to the stadium. That preparation at the stadium was always sort of given to you. If there was anything key that needed to be said, it was almost amongst the players. And every now and then it would be a member of staff or the boss would say something right before we went out, and then you were on your way.
That's fascinating, interesting. What does your gut tell you about Celtic in the Champions League? How do you think it's going to go?
Listen, I think you've got to be optimistic. There's no, you have to look at it with optimism. It's teams aren't going to want to come and play at Celtic Park. There's those, or they will, because I love the atmosphere, but it's going to be amazing for the home team. And I think that they've got to try and use that as much as they can to their advantage. With everything that's happened in the last season, that they've got to continue that momentum. I'm sure that's what they're going to try and do. And like I said, I think what you will see is a team trying to impose their game, and what they have done throughout their domestic journey. They're going to try and in Europe last year, they're going to try and impose their game on teams and take it to them.
Yeah, and I think the entire fan base is going to go with them as well, and that's what makes Tuesday night against Real Madrid just so tantalising. Can we have a wee segment on Aaron Moy, just because he's the greatest player of all time, and we love him. Really good when he came on yesterday again. You must know him quite well.
Yeah, very pleased for him to get his move there. Obviously, I've played with Hazard for a few years and followed his journey throughout his time over here and abroad as well. But yeah, listen, I'm pleased that he's there, and he'll know what's required of him every single time, and delighted that he's able to contribute so much, and he will continue to do throughout his whenever he's called upon.
He always just looks like he has time, like he's just never rushed at all. I think if he comes on against Real Madrid and he's playing against Modric and Kroos, I think he'll still have time in that midfield.
Yeah, I think it's one of his key traits. He never looks flustered. A joy to sort of play with. Understands his role. Up for the challenge all the time. He's reliable on the ball. Will look to play forward, and he's got the quality to do so. And then he's got a great understanding of the game and what's required of him. And I think the fact that he's coming into a team that's on a big high, will only push into it to new levels as well.
Definitely. Mealy, it's been amazing to have you on. You do have one final job. Now, tomorrow we have a new Celtic hero starting on the channel, joining Jackie McNamara and Scott McDonald, and you actually happen to know him. It's weird how this is worked out. The suspense will be killing everyone, so we thought we could get you to announce who the next guest on the channel is. So who's starting tomorrow, Mealy?
So yeah, the guest starting tomorrow is a good mate of mine and a former Celtic legend, Joe Ledley.
Great. Slightly better beard than you, slightly worse beard than you. What are you saying?
No comment. I'll let Joe argue that.
Fantastic. Well, Joe will be with me tomorrow, looking back at the win over Rangers and looking ahead to the small matter of Real Madrid. Mealy, it's been amazing to have you on. Really appreciate your time, and take care.
No problems. Best of luck for the rest of the campaign, and obviously the Champions League is going to be massive for the football club. I just wanted to say best of luck to Joe as well on this new adventure of his as well.